My name is Corey St. Cyr, and I am the Conference and Symposium Chair for today's event. And it's a pleasure to see so many of you joining us here today for our first annual McGill Biotechnology Graduate Symposium. At the onset, let me please give me the opportunity to recognize our numerous and many sponsors who have all been able to contribute towards today's development. These include AstraZeneca, our title and platinum sponsor, the Center for Host Parasite Interactions, the Institute of Parasitology, the Faculty of Medicine, Paladin Labs, the McGill Alumni Association, the MCGSS, McGill Goodman Cancer Center, and Roche. Please join me in applauding these corporate and academic partners for their contribution to today's success. Many of you may be wondering what was the essence behind this whole symposium today. Essentially, it stems from our biotechnology graduate program, a program that comes out of the Institute of Parasitology at the McDonald campus. About 10 years ago, our program was started in the form of a certificate program. After much need from both students and the industry of biotechnology, there was a demand to create a new master's program in 2005. Since the inception, we've had almost 200 graduates who have passed through this program, and we are pleased that the cohort of 2010 will surpass that 200 mark. So we're very pleased that in such a short amount of time, our program has been able to accomplish such great feats. Some 6 months ago, the students of the McGill Biotechnology Graduate Program had a vision. Our vision was to create a platform where stakeholders from academia, industry, and civil society can share their ideas on how biotechnology can contribute towards sustainable innovation. Today, we are extremely pleased that our dream is now a reality. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you will have an opportunity to witness something extremely unique: the bridge between youthfulness and experience, the timeless debate of academic freedom versus corporate control, and the notion that innovation is simply useless without integration. Whether we are in academia or industry, the arts or sciences, business or law, now more than ever, we as global citizens have the responsibility to get connected, to make sure that we enhance our world through sustainable innovation. On behalf of the students of the Biotechnology Graduate Program and the organizing committee of BioConnect 2010, please allow me to welcome you here today with our heartfelt appreciation. And we hope that at the end of today's session, you will be connected. Thank you. Please allow me now the opportunity to welcome one of our distinguished guests today. We now have opening remarks from the Interim Vice Principal of Research and International Relations, Dr. Raymond Rosen. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon, particularly since this is the first, and I certainly hope not the only. I hope this is the first of many symposia on this particular topic. This is clearly very timely given the number of reports and the discussions that have been held in Canada and across the world in turning our discoveries into innovative products and services. And in particular, I wanted just to give you a few general comments that have come out of at least one recent meeting. The Public Policy Forum, which is a national organization that deals with many important Canadian topics, held a meeting about a year ago on science, they called it Science Day in Canada. They had a distinguished group of academic and government colleagues, and they were there to discuss innovation in Canada. And if I could just summarize some of their comments very briefly, first of all, there's good news and there's bad news in terms of Canada and innovation. In terms of good news, Canada has a lot of advantages. We have federal granting councils that give us, adequate, not outstanding, but adequate research dollars. We have a Canada Research Chairs program, which has brought us many talented investigators to Canada. We have a Canadian Foundation for Innovation, which funds large platforms and facilities. And if you look at the students in our high schools, if you look at the average 15-year-old and assess their competence in terms of science, math, and reading, our 15-year-olds do actually quite well, so that we have a good base from which to develop science and technology. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad news as well. The private sector commitment to research in Canada lags behind other countries. Our education system does not capitalize on these young students who have the potential to really be good scientists and innovators. We produce too few scientists. And I think most important for this particular audience, all the various sectors do not really transform our discoveries into useful innovations. And if I could quote the chair of our Science, Technology, and Innovation Council in Canada, Howard Alper, he says, "We are far better at research than we are at development." Now, McGill is not different in that regard from other institutions. Of course, we have a technology transfer unit within our office. We have many, many reports of invention. We have many patents, but it is very difficult to turn these inventions and patents into revenues, into economic prosperity, economic benefit, and so on. Now, there are many reasons that I could give you for why we and other universities are not as successful as we would like to be. Certainly, the funding to develop early-stage technology is not at the level that it needs to be. There's a lot of late-stage technology development, but early stage, the period that we refer to as the valley of death, for example, does not have enough money to cover the report of the invention up to the point where a sort of a venture capital firm might want to sustain it. So that's certainly one major issue. But another reason, I think, for this lack of success, shall we say, is culture to a large extent. You are the young generation. When I refer to my generation, shall we say the older generation in terms of academia and science, yes, we consider ourselves very productive. Even at McGill, we're an outstanding university, a lot of grants, a lot of publications, a lot of graduate students. But it's only a minority of investigators that have been involved with the private sector, with industry. I myself have had the pleasure of many of these kinds of interactions in terms of patents and contracts and so on, but the vast majority of my colleagues have not had that particular experience. So it's very encouraging for me to see this new development here, this innovation symposium. I think it clearly tells us that the younger generation is ready to develop their ideas into innovative products and services. And I think we also have a lot of new academics now. The new generation of investigators that we have hired are very similar to you. They're much more entrepreneurial. They understand how, or they would like to develop their discoveries into more practical uses. And you may know that through the Canada Research Chairs Program and others, out of the 1,600 professors, tenure-track professors that we have at McGill, about half of them have been hired in the last 10 years. So we have a very young group of academics now. They're very anxious to work with you and others in terms of developing these technologies, and we have to create an environment for them, for you, so that you can move forward in these areas. Now, in terms of my university responsibilities as senior management at McGill, of course, we have an obligation to provide comprehensive education. Science, technology, engineering, those are not the only faculties at the university. We have very strong research in arts, humanities, social sciences. And I think we have to use the broad definition of the word innovation in that context. There's a lot of innovation in social policies, in healthcare developments, and there are many, many ways that other students and other colleagues can contribute to society, not necessarily in the way we're discussing this afternoon, but certainly it is important to our university and to all of us to have innovation in those other areas, the non-science areas as well. And I think in that regard, I'm pleased to see that you have a health break and a music break. So you do recognize the importance of these other disciplines, but of course today and this afternoon is really designed to look at how we can better interact with the industrial sector and develop our technologies. So I salute you for this particular event. I thank you for bringing innovation to the forefront of the various disciplines at the university, and I think we have to emphasize innovation in science and technology, not just for McGill, but for the economic recovery of our country and the future prosperity of Canada. So I hope you enjoy the afternoon, and thank you very much for the invitation.
Now time for us to, I guess as we in the executive committee would say, get connected and start our symposium and understand what are the potential challenges that we may face as we move towards sustainable innovation. As a part of this whole symposium today, we wanted to blend both academic with industry, and we're very happy that we have gotten the consent of our title sponsor, AstraZeneca, to provide our moderator for today's sessions. So please help me to invite the Director of Project Generation at AstraZeneca R&D Montreal and our symposium moderator for today, Dr. Sultan Ahmad.
I feel honored and privileged to have been asked to participate in this discussion today. A great initiative on behalf of the students of biotechnology and students community in general here, very aptly called as BioConnect, inviting people from various disciplines, all interested in innovation and biotechnology. I have a time slot in the end. The agenda is very tight, so perhaps we should get started. The program is full. I would request all the presenters, speakers, to please stick to your times. There is a gentleman sitting there right in front with yellow and red banners. So please stay in time, because at the end we have music, wine, and cheese. We don't want to be late for that. And I want my 15 minutes in the end as well.